So Spring has always had certain key themes, and some of the themes are developer choice. There's more than one way of doing things, so we always have offered a lot of choices, and no compromise around those choices. Simplicity, basically, expandability. And power. And what's interesting about Spring is if you look at every release, actually gives you a lot more features, a lot more power, while actually simplifying things. If you look at the amount of configuration code you need to use Spring, or if you look at the lines of code to build an application on Spring, it's actually gone down for every release, and that's the case now for Spring 3 as well. So all these things continue. The other key thing is that Spring has really become a building block for our own products aside from Spring. As much as other people use Spring Framework, we ourselves are using the core Spring Framework in all our other projects, things like Spring Integration, Spring Batch. Pretty much all the Spring products we're using it. Even in things like, let's say, Hyperic now is being ported to a Spring-based platform. So very much some of the features in Spring are driven by our own direct needs using Spring and other products. Now on the actual particular feature set side, Spring 3 has a number of core features that have been added. One is in the area of REST support. So over the last few years, there's been a bit of a backlash over the kind of the complexity of doing stateful services via things like the SOAP stack, and people have really picked up on trying to do a kind of a REST style service exposition. A guy called Roy Fielding wrote his PhD thesis on REST, and there's been a lot of interest in REST. People are actually using it to expose their applications and their services in a very lightweight fashion. You've always been able to do, since the 2.5 days with Spring MVC, you've been able to do REST-style service exposition, but some of the pieces were missing, so you could do certain things very easily. Other things were a little bit harder, and now we have a comprehensive REST functionality as part of Spring MVC. This is not JAX RS compliant, if anybody's wondering around that. There's a number of excellent libraries out there that already do JAX RS. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel. What we're trying to do here is just say Spring MVC already did REST very well. Some people want to do REST with Spring MVC. Let's just fill in some of the missing pieces. And so that's one of the things that a lot of people are really looking forward to happening. Another piece is basically the Spring expression language is coming as part of Spring 3. Very comprehensive expression language that allows your Spring configuration to be quite a bit simpler. Expression language is another example of a building block. A lot of the different projects like Spring Security, Spring Batch, Spring Integration, Spring Webflow will now be able to use this expression language to significantly enhance and simplify their functionality as well. Probably another major area is on the side of the basic version of Java that's needed to run Spring. We've moved to Java 5, aka JDK 1.5 as a base version. That's really good because we can use it much more internally ourselves, and we can also make all our APIs utilize and Java 5 features like generics, var args and the like in as good a fashion as possible. Let me think. Another area that we've been working on is declarative model validation. So Spring had always had a pretty good validation library that was part of its UI layer, but it was somewhat of a programmatic validation capability. You had to write a validator's piece of Java code, and now we're supporting the JSR 303 validation spec, which allows you to put annotations right inside your code to define that, let's say, a date. If we're going to bind a date from an incoming request, that date needs to be in the past, or this needs to be a number or something of that nature. And I think maybe one of the other major areas is around scheduling because of the Java 5 base and the needs of the various people out there. We've done some enhancements on the side of scheduling, so we have nothing quite as comprehensive as a quartz inside Spring, but a decent basic scheduler that if you don't want to bring an external library, you can do that out of the box with Spring. There is an XML namespace around that, so there's less configuration around doing scheduling. And I guess at the kind of the big features level, that's most of it. There's many dozens of smaller features. We've been working on this for a while, very excited about it, and really hope you pull it down, try it out.
So where should they go to get the release?
Basically, come to either springsource.com or springsource.org, and you'll be able to go to the download center and download Spring 3. Should be a nice experience to start using Spring 3. Basically, just put it into your source, recompile, of course. Make sure that you don't get any warnings or errors. It should be a relatively pleasant experience to move to Spring 3. Of course, do a full regression test, but generally you shouldn't have any breakage, and you should have a lot more features available to you.
Great. Well, Colin, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it. I know that you're busy while you're here at the event, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again soon.
Thanks, Tracy. Good to see you again.
Okay.